And alright, folks, welcome along to today's 420 news. Bear with me, I just realised I don't have my headphones on. And there we go, that's better. Sounds a bit weird. It was weird starting off actually wearing the headphones, and now it's weird to do it without them. So, yeah, these are little improvements you make as you go along. I can actually hear myself speaking back now. It's kind of weird at first, but you get used to it. So, let's do that introduction again, guys. Grab me notes for today's show. So, guys, welcome along to today's 420 News. I'm your show host, Martin Condon, and you're listening to 420 News, and it's brought to you by Martin's World. Guys, if you'd like to support cannabis legalisation in Ireland, and if you want to help me set up a cannabis activist hub, you can do so by signing up to the Patreon at patreon.com/Martin's World. And if you'd like to donate through Bitcoins, you can also do that by going to martinsworld.I, and you'll find a button up there, and you'll be able to make a donation nice and easy with Bitcoins. Time with the idea of just throwing up a bank account, just make it easy for people who want to just transfer money and cut out the middleman. So I'll look at that. That might be something I'll do in the future. Guys, thanks everybody for supporting the show. Don't forget to like, share, comment, all of that fun stuff. I will get to the comments at the end of today's show. Have quite a bit in store for you. A lot of really good news actually coming from the US. As I said, they had a lot of votes coming there on cannabis legalization and certain other drug laws too. So I'll be reporting on those. And then I've a little bit of news coming from Belfast and from the UK, and quite a bit of news then coming from around Ireland for you. So I hope you enjoyed today's news, and I'm going to get stuck into it today. So with you guys, going to start off, guys, with a little piece of news. It is drug policy related. It isn't strictly cannabis related, and that is because in this state, what I'm going to be talking about now is Oregon. So in the state of Oregon, they had the opportunity to vote on the decriminalisation of all drugs, not just cannabis or anything like this. Includes cocaine, heroin. So it was a very good measure to have on the ballot, and a right big fuck you to the war on drugs. So in Oregon, the outcome of that vote was 59% of people in favour and 41% of people against. So that's 59% of people in favour and 49% of people against. That's a very good outcome, in fairness. As I said, this is a big blow to the war in drugs. There's been other states before that have looked, I think in Colorado it is, that they've decriminalised other psychedelic drugs in the past. So psilocybin mushrooms, more specifically. So very good work there done in Oregon by all involved. The effort was led by the guys in the Drug Policy Alliance. So up here, if you're looking at the video, and you have Cassandra Federic. So Cassandra Federic is the executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance. And the Drug Policy Alliance are basically the guys who led the push there for people to vote in favour of decriminalising all drugs in the state of Oregon. So again, well done to everybody involved in this. Well done to the people in the Drug Policy Alliance. And Cassandra Federic had this to say then on the outcome of this vote. She says, today's victory is a landmark declaration that the time has come to stop criminalising people who use drugs. Couldn't agree with you more there, Cassandra. She says, Measure 110 is arguably the biggest blow to the war on drugs. It shifts the focus where it belongs, on people and public health. And it removes one of the most common justifications for law enforcement to harass, arrest, prosecute, incarcerate and deport people. As we saw the domino effect of cannabis legalisation, we expect this victory to inspire other states to enact their own policies that prioritise health over punishment. And again, I done a video there on Monday from the state of, I don't know, is it the state of Lisbon, whatever they call Lisbon there, the city of Lisbon in Portugal. So Portugal decriminalised all drugs in 2002, and it is a very good thing. There has been very positive outcomes to that. But what they haven't done since has been control the supply of drugs. And Cassandra actually acknowledges that within in this. She continues to say, while drug decriminalisation cannot fully repair broken an oppressive criminal legal system or the harms of an unregulated drug market, shifting from absolute prohibition to drug decriminalisation is a monumental step forward in this fight. It clears the path towards treating drug use as a health issue, restores individual liberty, removes one of the biggest underpinnings for police abuse, and substantially reduces government waste. It's a message, I can't say enough, really. The war on drugs is a major waste of our time and energy. We have our guards out there putting their lives needlessly at risk, and we're punishing people a lot of the times who are sick. If a person is addicted to drugs and they're engaging in self-destructive behaviours, then that is a sick individual, and to punish them for that is reflective of a sick society, if you ask me. And it's a very positive thing there in Oregon. And as I say, in Portugal, they decriminalised all drugs in 2002, but they still have a mess there now because they haven't opened up the supply. If memory serves correct, I think they have access to cannabis in Oregon, and it sounds like these guys might have their head screwed on a bit more. They're on about the Portuguese model. Hopefully they see the shortcomings of the Portuguese model. Maybe they start looking at other places like Switzerland, where they have heroin-assisted therapy, where people can be registered and receive heroin as a medication and a therapy that addresses the underlying issues of their addiction. Health-led approaches to helping people, not punishing people, not criminalizing people for being sick. So well done to Oregon. I hope you go forward and really lead the way in what should be done in a society where all drugs are decriminalized. And I hope we see other policies coming forward as to how the supply of drugs will be getting to the people who use the drugs. So again, well done to Oregon and everybody involved there, including the people in Drug Policy Alliance. And other states then, guys, there was quite a few other states then. There was 5 other states, actually, to be specific, who legalized other drugs. So if you give me a second, I'm going to see if I can get this to open up here now for you. So there we go. So we have a number of states there that have also legalized the cannabis, for some for medical use and some for adult use, adults 18 and over. So in New Jersey, on the public question number 1, it was a vote to amend the Constitution to legalize the consumption and possession of cannabis for any adult over the age of 21. The question was placed onto the ballot in December of 2019, and if passed, it will come into effect on January 1st, 2021. Well, guess what? Just to come to the end of this thing here, look, it passed. So on January 1st, 2021, the people living in New Jersey, adults aged 21 and over, and even the young people living there, they're all going to benefit from the from the regulation of the sale and supply of cannabis. Young people are going to benefit because there's going to be now less drug dealers on the street corner trying to sell it to them, and the places where they can buy it from are going to be controlled and regulated, where an ID is required. And even if they're to get a product from there, at least it's not coming from a back street alley, So on that ballot measure, so if you were a person in New Jersey going in to vote on it, this was the question that you were going to be asked. Do you approve amending the Constitution to legalize a controlled form of marijuana called cannabis? A controlled form of marijuana called cannabis. Jesus Christ, it's called cannabis, lads. That's the scientific name of it. It's crazy that was actually even on their ballot. Marijuana called cannabis. Like, it goes to show how much the propaganda that they span over the years has really worked, especially in America, where they now have to use the word marijuana, which actually isn't even the word for cannabis. It was a term that was coined by the prohibitionists at the time to fool people, to allow them to make illegal cannabis, which was the same thing as hemp as well at the time. Another term coined to fool people into misbelieving as the benefits cannabis can bring to the planet. But anyway, sorry, I rant on about that. Only adults aged at least 21 years of age could use cannabis. The State Commission created to oversee the state's medicinal cannabis program would also oversee the new personal use of cannabis market. Cannabis products would be subject to the state sales tax if authorised by the legislator. A municipality may pass a local ordinance to change a local tax on cannabis products or to charge a local tax on cannabis products. The interpretive statement on the ballot is as follows. So this was explaining the ballot again. The amendment would legalise cannabis for adults aged 21 and over. The Cannabis Regulatory Commission would oversee the new adult cannabis market. This commission was created in 2019 to oversee the state's medical cannabis programme. The scope of the commission's new authority would be detailed in laws enacted by the legislator. All retail sales of cannabis products in the new adult cannabis market would be subject to the state's sales tax. If authorised by the legislator, a municipality may pass a local ordinance to charge a local tax. So again, just kind of repeating what I said a few seconds ago. And as I said, that was voted in favour of, and quite overwhelmingly so. 67% voted in favour of it and only 33% against it. So guys, well done. Take a bow for yourselves, everybody involved in that. That's a big blow again to the war on drugs, and the world is looking upon favourably, at least the cannabis community world anyway. So well done to everybody involved in that. Jeez, got a 420 Cottonmouth getting me all tongue-tied, and just really kind of excited to have some good positive news to bring you today around cannabis legalisation. Obviously, it's not coming from Ireland, but you know, hopefully someday this will have a spillover effect there into Ireland. But in other news then as well, in the US, we have Arizona. So Arizona had Proposition 207 that would have legalised the sale of marijuana in the state. Again, marijuana, the thing is cannabis. But anyhow, a yes vote on Proposition 207 would see marijuana legalised. Would legalise marijuana possession and use for adults 21 years and older, and would allow individuals to grow up to 6 cannabis plants. It would create a framework for legal sales, which would be subject to a 16% sales tax. Finally, it would allow people with criminal records related to marijuana to petition for expungement. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. This is what is needed in any form of conversation around legalizing cannabis. If you're to forget the many people who've been displaced in their life because of these stupid laws created by corrupt individuals, then we're doing a major disservice to our society in not respecting and acknowledging the harm that was done to these people. The least we can do is an apology and to clear their names. So anyhow, a vote no means cannabis would remain illegal for recreational purposes, although it's already legal for medicinal use in Arizona. Well, guess what anyway, guys? Very good outcome in Arizona. Almost 60% of people voted in favour of it, and only 40% of people voted against it. Well done again to everybody in Arizona. Excellent news, and a big blow to the war on drugs, and fuck you to all the prohibitionists out there. Yes. Montana then, guys. Montana had Proposition I-190, again looking at legalising marijuana in the state. A yes vote on statutory measure I-190 would allow proposition and possession and use for adults 21 and older, letting them grow up to 4 marijuana plants and 4 seedlings for personal use. Interesting, they differentiate here actually 4 marijuana plants and 4 seedlings. It's something I'd be confused about in other laws when they say a person can have 6 plants. Is that there's issues there to be ruled out, because if you've a few plants in a flowering state, obviously they're much different to a plant that's in a vegetative state and not producing any buds. So I would think a person should have unlimited amount of plants in a seedling state, but here they've defined it as 4 plants in a seedling state for personal use. It would create a legal framework for sales along with 20% sales tax. It would allow people with criminal records related to marijuana, cannabis, to petition for expungement. Yes, well done. Again, as I said, you cannot campaign for this without including that. And a no vote means cannabis would remain illegal for recreational purpose, although it's already legal for medicinal use in Montana. And guess what? It was passed. Yes. Fuck you, prohibitionists. Sorry, guys, for all the curse words today. It's just, I don't know, I'm just letting them slip and letting them fly. Apologies, I shouldn't be. But I'm excited. It's good news to be reporting. 50, almost 57%, 56.58%. Let's round it up. 57% in favour of, and 43% against. Well done, guys. It's passed, and cannabis is now going to be legal for adults 21 and over in the state of Montana. Yes. Again, hopefully this spills over into other states again nearby, and also into the country of Ireland. New Jersey then, guys. Alright, guys, in New Jersey, a yes vote would legalise the possession of cannabis for adults 21 and older, and task the state's Cannabis Regulatory Commission with regulating sales. A no vote means cannabis would remain illegal for recreational purposes, although it's already legal for medicinal use in New Jersey. Guess what? It passed, and it passed again in a big, strong majority, almost 67%, 66.97%. So 67% of people voted in favour of it, 33% against. Well done to everybody who campaigned there. I hope you all just celebrated and are really happy. You're doing the Lord's work. In fairness, well done to you guys. Brilliant outcome. Brilliant. South Dakota then, guys. We covered this one actually on the No Way on Amendment A there, and yeah, up yours to the guys there on that campaign. You know, you were close on this one. It was a 53.41% in favour of this measure to legalise cannabis for adults aged 21 and over, and it was 46.59% against. So guess what? Cannabis is going to be legal for adults aged 21 and older in the state of South Dakota. So again, well done everybody there. Like, just take a bow, guys. Well done. Just amazing stuff. It says here, a yes vote on Amendment A would legalise cannabis possession for adults 21 and older. It would allow individuals to grow up to 3 cannabis plants if they live in a jurisdiction with no licensed marijuana retailers. Okay, so if there's somewhere where you can buy cannabis, you're not allowed to grow cannabis. That's interesting. Look, it's positive. It's something to be worked on into the future. Obviously, I don't think that's a perfect piece of regulation, but it's regulation nonetheless, and it's the end of a form of criminalisation. It would also allow for the distribution and sales with a 15% tax benefit to the state. A no vote would mean cannabis would remain illegal in the state. Apparently they don't have a medical issue. And, well, actually, no, soon they do, because also in South Dakota they initiated Measure 26. So a yes vote on initiated Measure 26 would create a medical cannabis program for those with debilitating medical conditions. Patients would be able to possess up to 3 ounces of cannabis and grow 3 plants or more, depending on what a physician recommends. A no vote would mean cannabis would be not allowed for medicinal purposes in the state. But guess what, guys? It passed, and it was 69.21% of people voted in favour of that measure, and 30.79% of people voted against that measure. Well done to everybody involved in that. Very good outcome in that vote. And again, you know, I hope there is a spillover from that into other states, and we see more states legalising it. I think on the last count there was 33 states had medicinal cannabis legalised. Well, this now brings it to 34. And the number of states having it legal for recreational reasons has now climbed to 15, I think, if my calculations are correct. There's 4 states here looking to vote on it, and 4 of them passed it. Mississippi then is the final state that I'm going to deal with today, and they had a measure only looking at the medicinal use of cannabis. It's still illegal there for adults 21 and older, but look, small steps forward. It's not perfect everywhere, but it's something to work with. A yes vote on Initiative 65 would allow those with qualifying conditions to possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis, taxed at 7%. The Mississippi Department of Health would be tasked with setting up regulations for distribution. A yes vote for Initiative 65A then would allow those who are terminally ill access cannabis and would empower the legislator to refine the specifics set in Initiative 65. There's probably something there. Maybe they reduce the tax for those people, because why are you taxing sick people who need this for a medicine? I don't think that's right when you won't even allow adults 21 and older to access it. But anyhow, because those are the guys you should be making the bloody tax off, not the patients. But anyhow, voting for neither means the medicinal marijuana, cannabis, would not be made available. And guess what, guys? 68% of people voted in favour of that measure, and cannabis for medicinal use will be legal now in the state of Mississippi. And on the other measure there, which I'm not too sure of, maybe it's to reduce the taxes for people who are seen to be terminally ill, which I would agree with, but I would think none of them should be charged tax. I think you should legalise cannabis for adults and maybe get the tax off of the healthy people who use cannabis for maybe therapeutic reasons. But no, instead you're picking on the patients, making them pay a 7% tax. And hopefully this other measure anyway, which has passed, as I say, it's 76% in favour of, 23% against, which will establish a medicinal marijuana program. Yeah. And yeah, that's it there from those states then. So just to shoot back, hopefully all that came through nice and loud and clear for you. Might just quickly click on over. Yeah, it seems like my sound is coming out loud and clear to you anyway. It doesn't seem like any comments. I just a little bit paranoid there that my sound might have hiccuped or something on me. So I'm just making sure that hasn't happened. And yeah, sorry for starting late today, guys. Just had a bit more news than expected to be compiling, and yeah, just changed the way in which I was delivering it to you. So, and as I say, well done to everybody in the US who was involved in all of those campaigns. There was some other votes there. I think Washington, D.C. had a vote on legalizing psychedelic plants and medicines, and that was a positive outcome there as well. That's now going to be put in place where people can get access to these therapeutic plants and medicines such as psilocybin mushrooms, ayahuasca, ibogaine, and others. So some very good news. As I said, there was a lot of news there to be compiled. I didn't really get a chance to get it all in, or I would have been even later coming to you today. So I just want to thank everybody who took part in all of those campaigns, guys. It means a lot that people give up their time to help steer the direction that our society is taking. And I think all of these outcomes that I just mentioned there in the last, 10 minutes, were these are going to be very beneficial to helping, just humankind in general. Criminalization of people for using cannabis is wrong. Criminalizing people for being addicted to a drug is wrong. And all these measures are very positive. So well done again to everybody. Take a bow, and an applause there for you as well, guys. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And other news, guys, bringing us a little bit closer to home then. We have here, sorry, wrong slide. We have here Billy Caldwell. So pictured here is young Billy Caldwell, aged 15 if memory serves correct. He is, what you see here is Billy is making history actually in the UK. He's up above in County Tyrone, and he's collecting here a package off of his delivery man. And it's not just any regular old package. No, inside in this package is the first delivery of Billy Caldwell's NHS prescribed medicinal cannabis. So this is history in the making, really. Billy Caldwell, whose mother, Charlotte, has been fighting for a very long time. I think it was just recently a 2-year anniversary of the time when his medicine was confiscated from his mother, and his life was put in risk because of these stupid prohibitionists and these idiots who want to refuse access to extremely sick patients accessing medicinal cannabis. To refuse that is criminal in my eyes. and it's justification for me to put my head in the chopping block and to be here to deliver this message for you and to be fighting for legalisation of cannabis in Ireland and around the world, because this is criminal. It shouldn't be happening. Like, if this young lad was to die 2 years ago because they confiscated that medicine, absolutely diabolical, despicable. Honest, I wouldn't piss in that guy to put him out if he was on fire, whoever it was that was responsible for that, because it's criminal. Cannabis is a medicine. Anyone to deny that to somebody, you're a fucking scumbag. Absolutely, downright, you're a scumbag. And again, sorry guys, I might be just a little bit more emotional than usual today. But, you know, I think this is good news, and I want to continue the flow of the good news, and this is how I'm doing it. This is Billy Caldwell. He's receiving his medical cannabis, and I hope this is going to set the way forward for the many other patients and kids out there who need access to this cannabis medicines. Other patients out there, and you know, this is emotional shit, like, because these are kids, like, you know, and I have kids myself, and these kids can die over this, and it's wrong that this is happening, that these kids are getting denied access to this medicine. Like, little bit emotional today, guys, on this, like, but we've here many other patients who are out campaigning for their sick fucking kids. Do you know, it's bullshit, absolute fucking bullshit. Sorry for crying, jeez. I had to get control of my emotions, like, 'cause how long is this going to go fucking on for, like how many of these kids have died already who could have benefited from this? It's sick. What a sick society we live in. God, I don't know, is it my own court case coming up or what? Like, but, oh, good lord above. Jeez, just give me a few seconds, guys. A sip of water. Fuck. There's actually people out there who think I want to be here doing this. I fucking don't, guys. I'm here doing this because it's the right thing to do. I'm a healthy, well-abled person, and there's many sick people out there who can't be banging this fucking drum. Jeez, these parents here out campaigning, they have sick kids who they have to put a lot of effort into taking care of, and they're fucking spending their time campaigning because of this fucking stupid prohibition that's been in place for a very fucking long time, and it has no place in our society. We never got a chance to vote in it in Ireland, guys. This was imposed on us by a bunch of corrupt fucking politicians. Corrupt to the core, the whole fucking lot of them. Oh, it really kills me, like, it really kills me knowing that there's people out there suffering day in, day out because of this stupid shit. People with addictions, like, you know, it's so wide, the scope of people that get affected by this war. It's a war on fucking drugs. Anybody who supports this, guys, you're sick. You're sick, I swear to God. Oh, I do this because it's a passion that burns strongly inside of me. It was something that was put there, not by myself, by somebody else. When I experienced the wrong that was done to me, I used my lived experience to learn and to try to shape our society, to improve it, so people don't have to suffer and repeat the shit that I went through. So these parents don't have to do this shit either. Oh, God, Lord. Sorry. But anyhow, I'll try to drive on into less emotional news, because the rest of the news is quite negative, because it's coming back to home. It's going to be Ireland. It's going to be dealing with these pigs. Sorry for even using pigs, because there's nice cops out there. You're not all fucking bad. Ah, oh, sorry guys for getting emotional, but this stuff, like, it's hard, like, it's hard to report this stuff sometimes, like, oh, there's so many other kids out there, like, and Jesus, like, you see me here expressing tears, but it's been many tears seen or not seen that get expressed when I'm reading these stories offline. Oh. So in other news, guys, and I'll try to calm down a little bit, clear the emotions. Give me a sec. Good Lord. In other news, guys, a man charged in connection with cannabis could be a slave. Oh, sorry for the blocked nose now and everything, all caught up over
all of those emotions. But here we have it again, guys. A man charged in connection with cannabis could be a slave. So a 55-year-old man, he was caught in connection with a 2 million seizure of cannabis there in Belfast. And a court has heard that he could be a victim of slavery, essentially. So detectives there from the PSNI and the organised crime branch confiscated the drugs following searches of three properties in South and East Belfast. At the time, police said the cannabis had an estimated street value of at least £2 million. It's probably gone up since then because of the fucking lockdowns. But anyhow, Chen faces charges of possession and conspiracy to supply Class B drugs, illegal entry to the UK, and having a false passport. Belfast Magistrates Court heard that he arrived in Dublin in July 2019, allegedly using an alias, and claimed asylum before moving to Northern Ireland. Police opposed bail. During the hearing, it emerged the investigations that are being carried out into claims he was subject to human trafficking. Citing a preliminary assessment from Home Office District Judge George Canner said the statement is that there are reasonable grounds to conclude Chen is a victim of modern slavery. Defence counsel Declan Quinn argued that there was evidence to back the interim findings, and Chen was arrested at a sparsely furnished house where a quantity of drugs had been posted to, according to the barrister. So it seems like this guy got caught because there was drugs sent to the house, and the cops followed up and it carried out a raid, and unfortunately this guy was there. As I've said in the past, it's no secret now that the triads, that the paramilitaries, all of these guys are working together to undermine our society and to victimize people in many, many ways in order to profiteer in an environment only created by prohibition and a stupid fucking war on drugs. So this poor dude, he probably, who knows, his family, maybe he is doing this for his family. He could have a young family back in China. Maybe the triads are looking after him, paying him. Maybe he's in fear that they're going to be killed if he's to speak out against who's brought him here. We just don't know. Maybe they're already after being killed. Like who knows what's after happening here? It's absolutely horrible that this stuff it only exists because of prohibition. So there you go, guys. It's a modern day slavery enabled by prohibitionists. Well done to the prohibitionists out there and the people who believe cannabis and other drugs should remain illegal and in the control of criminals. Criminals who were empowered then to engage in human trafficking to build their empire. It's horrible and it's despicable. And well done to the prohibitionists who support these policies. And sorry for having to still clear my nose. There's other bits there to add to that. Referring to the suspected exploitation of his client, Mr. Quinn said that the man had absolutely no jewellery, cash or trappings of wealth. He presented to use the proverbial with his two arms to one length. All of the circumstances are consistent with this man being moved around and effectively treated as a commodity. A commodity by who? By a vast criminal empire only enabled to exist because of prohibition. Adjourning the bail applications for 2 weeks, Mr. Connor said he wanted more information on Chen's status before making a decision. Scumbags, guys, absolute scumbags out there in control of the supply of drugs, and the longer prohibition remains in place, the longer things like this are going to be in the news. Modern day slavery, how can we support this? Like, seriously, a simple stroke of the pen there by our politicians would enable a great effort to be undertaken by our state to address these shortcomings where people have been victimised time and time again. We've a slave here dealing with cannabis. He's probably grown it, and this isn't an isolated incident either. Like, this is an ongoing thing around the world. There, we seen the 14 Vietnamese people in Australia last week getting caught in that major operation. I don't think any of those guys were the leader of those operations either.
In other news, then, we had a senior Hutch gang member linked to the Regency Hotel bloodbath arrested by Gardaí after €60,000 drug bust. So this dude was caught with €60,000 worth of cannabis above in Coolock, and he in Dublin, and he was believed to be involved somehow in the Regency Hotel bat that happened. And if you don't know what the Regency Hotel bat, it was basically an attack there on the Kinahan drug cartel by the Hutch drug cartel. And these two warring crime or drug gangs are basically killing people on the streets because of prohibition, because of fighting for their control of and share of the drug market, and all backed up then by the cops. So the cops know these guys, they're watching their movements, they're protecting them half the fucking time with details outside of their house and all sorts of stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous how just corrupt this whole thing is, really. That it's even still going on. How long are we aware of the Hutches and the Kinahans? Come on, are we not having why can we not have a conversation as to how prohibition creates these gangs in the first place? Seriously, it's just a mind boggler. The Hutch gangster and his Coolock associate were still being questioned as separate Northside Garda stations last night. Senior sources say the bus is not linked to an operation carried out by the Dundalk Operation a couple of hours later, where cocaine was seized near the border and a female was arrested. Very weird that they actually mentioned that there. I wonder, was it actually connected? Because there's no reason to put it in there at all. It's just very suspicious. It makes me think that maybe somebody is snitched actually and they just threw it in there. But I don't know. It's just very suspect that they threw it in there, that it's not linked to another drug connection. I just think it's suspect. But anyway, meanwhile, sources say the arrest and swords of the Hutch mobster this morning is considered highly significant. It is not the biggest haul of weed in the world to be captured with, but at the same time, it could land him 10 years in jail. But it won't. But because, unlike the mandatory mask wearing, where mask wearing is supposed to be mandatory, well, these mandatory minimum drug sentences are rarely applied. Rarely applied. I'll repeat that again, like rarely applied. So there's a 10-year mandatory minimum for anybody who gets caught with over €13,000 worth of drugs, and it is rarely applied because our laws are a joke and prohibition is a joke. The whole system is corrupt and needs to be changed. Sorry for the rants. But it stinks, honestly. Like, these guys aren't going to get a 10-year minimum mandatory at all. Like, they're already after ratting somebody there who was bringing a bit of coke over the border. Like, even though they say it wasn't linked, I'm going to say it was because they threw it in there into the article. Just makes it a bit stinky. And they go on to say then that this senior source, whoever was reporting here, said that this fella is very used to jail. He is a violent and reckless criminal, and he was blamed by the Kinahan cartel for being involved in the 2016 Regency Hotel bloodbath, but he has never been arrested for this. He is a very close associate of Derek Coakley Hutch, who was shot dead outside Wheatfield Prison on the orders of the Kinahan cartel in January 2018. One of the 18 murders linked to the deadly Kinahan-Hutch feud. The arrested man is a key member of the gang whose figurehead is exiled crime lord Jerry the Monk Hutch, and since being released from a jail sentence for robbery, he has got involved in separate feuds in the North Inner City. So there you go, guys. Like, they're well aware of these guys. Like, look, they have it here. Like, he was a close associate of Derek Hutch, and he was shot outside the thing, and it was an order given by the Kennans. Like, they know all this shit, and these guys are still walking around at large. You know, you have Daniel Kinahan there trying to get into the boxing world now, and he's coaching people and things like that. And that's grand. Like, yeah, people can turn over a new leaf and all that, but he still hasn't really like faced the consequences for the crimes that him and his empire have committed. And there's no denying that these guys are involved in some nasty shit. They're not here in front of you campaigning for the legalisation of cannabis anyway, and I can tell you that much for sure. No, they're scumbags. who benefited and victimized people. No doubt that they got many people addicted to drugs and they had no care for the welfare or to the quality of the drugs they were supplying. They only cared about money, and that's because they're criminals. You know, what do you expect? I don't expect anything less from them. I expect more from our politicians, to be honest. And I'm quite frankly, I'm quite disappointed in what I get from them. You know, Frank being, talk to Frank there about drugs. Like, what a clown, taking up the role of being the overseer of our national framework for drug policies, and he doesn't have a clue about drugs. Oh, what the hell, lads? What the hell are we doing in this country? Jesus. In other news, guys, a man who got €59,000 worth of cannabis sent to his Cork address foiled by Gardaí, and a 4-year jail sentence is imposed. So a Lithuanian man had a package of cannabis sent to his address in Mallow area. So Mallow is in Cork, where he signed for it, and he used his own real name actually. Kind of silly, but look, fuck it is what it is. He got it sent to his address anyway, like, so maybe it would have been a bit more suspicious having a fake name come there. Who knows what the thinking was there? It's just cannabis at the end of the day. Maybe the guy didn't feel a need to hide his name because he doesn't feel like he's doing anything wrong. Who knows? €59,000 worth of cannabis, guys. That is less than 3 kilos of cannabis. Just a tiny bit less than 3 kilos of cannabis. I think it's 2,995 grams of cannabis. Maybe he actually ordered 3 kilos and somebody shorted him. Maybe get on your dealer, buddy, if you got shorted there, if that was supposed to be 3 kilos, and get him to send you over the last bit. It might help you deal with the stress of this upcoming court case that you're going to have to be facing. Or no, sorry, your court case was faced. You got a 4-year jail sentence. What am I fucking saying? What an absolute joke, okay? What a joke. But he signed for the package. This was a controlled delivery by Gardaí and Customs, and now he has been jailed for 4 years at the Cork Circuit Criminal Court. Sergeant Paul O'Regan said that in a joint operation, they love their puns, by Gardaí and Customs and Excise, there was a controlled delivery of a suspected parcel to the home of the defendant. I can't pronounce his name. I'll give it one chance. Tautidas Markunas. He signed for the package at his front door at the Stables, Quartertown, Mallow, County Cork. When arrested soon afterwards, the package containing €59,000 worth of cannabis was seized. Maybe he broke into it actually before they raided his gaff and he got to smoke a couple of grams. And in the follow-up search, a further statue of the drug valued at $119,000 was recovered. So that's actually bringing the total now to... So he had 3 kilos delivered to him, and he also now has another 6 kilos here, just shy of 6 kilos recovered. And so Detective Garda O'Regan said the total value of the drugs comes to $179,000. Well, actually, 59,000 and 119,000 works out 178,000. But look, maybe the Detective Garda there had an old smoke and messed up his things, because guards aren't infallible either. It turned out that the 29-year-old, he's only 29. Oh, what a heartbreaker! Like, so much time in his life ahead. It turned out the 29-year-old Lithuanian had only been in Ireland for 3 weeks when he came to the attention of Gardaí in connection with these quantity of drugs. Well, maybe he just came here to profiteer off of the prohibition that exists, because there's more money to be made here on selling cannabis than there is in Lithuania, most likely. Defence Senior Counsel Michael F. Collins said that the package was addressed to the defendant in his real name, and the accused man signed for it. It was not a matter of any great sophistication to order a package and to sign for it in his own name. And that was his defence counsel. Like, great argument there. Of course, it's not easy to. Of course, it's easy to just order a package. Of course, it's easy. And this clown then, like this absolute plonker of a Judge Sean O'Donovan, like this guy, he took me off the road for a year before over €5 worth of cannabis. I wasn't even a DUI. I had cannabis in my car, and he took me off the road for a year for it. Judge Sean O'Donovan said he would take into consideration the fact he was serving a sentence in an Irish prison, and this would be a difficult thing to do for a Lithuanian man with no English. However, the judge said it was a significant haul by anyone's standards. No, it wasn't a significant haul. It was a couple of kilos of cannabis. The guy would have gone through it in no time. It's a significant amount of money he was going to make off it for sure because of the war on drugs and the prohibition. But I won't hear you arguing against that now anytime soon, will I, Mr. Judge Sean O'Donovan? He was not the main man or the brains behind it. So the judge looks like is acknowledging here that this guy isn't the main man in this, but yet nonetheless he's given him 4 years in jail. But to be trusted with this amount of drugs indicates a knowing involvement in the sale or supply of the drugs. He was trusted in this capacity, trusted by others, so he was a necessary part of the sale and supply of drugs. So the judge said this, but unbeknownst to yourself, Judge, you are also a necessary part in the sale and supply of illegal drugs because you enforce the war on drugs. You keep the war on drugs in place. You could use your voice. You could use your lived experience, all the wrongful convictions you've handed down to people who have victimized not many people like myself whose only crime is to possess €5 of cannabis, and you victimized me for a whole year where I had no right to drive my car, where you took my right to drive my car away. That's like taking away a man's limb in this day and age. A whole summer where I couldn't drive my kids to the beach. You know, you all wonder where the emotion and the passion and all this comes from that I express here from time to time with you. And these are it. Like this is all my lived experience just bubbling up, you know. This judge took my right away to drive for the air. And what was my crime? Merely possessing cannabis. That was it. Wronged nobody. Hurt no child. Done nothing wrong. And this judge, you know, he took my right away to drive a car for a year. Now he's taken away this man's ability to live in our society for 4 years, despite the fact that, like, it's cannabis. Anybody he was going to sell that cannabis to most likely wanted it. He was not twisting anybody's arm to buy that cannabis from him. It was an annoying, like, it was a mutually beneficial exchange between all parties involved. Very small amounts of people get addicted to cannabis and destroy their lives as a result, but many people have their lives destroyed because of the prohibition of cannabis that you, Judge Sean O'Donovan, keep in fucking place and you support in your day-to-day job. I don't know how you even sleep at night, you vile scumbag, you. A sentence of 4 years imposed on him and backdated to the time of the seizure of the drugs on November 4th, 2019, as he had been remanded in custody since that time. So the poor man, like, when he got caught with the drugs, he's been locked up since then. You know, like, there's scumbags out there. You know, Judge Sean O'Donovan, actually, and I'll just bring it up. Like, there was a case there recently in Cork, and give me a second to bring it up. I'm just going to move my mic. But there was 2 brothers from Rathkeil in County Limerick. So, 1 second. So here I have the article there now. So this was just it was a case that came up in the past before, and I was aware of it. So these 2 brothers, okay, they followed an elderly woman home from a shop. They approached her at the shop and asked her did she want to buy some power tools, and she said no, she didn't want to buy them, and yet they still gave her, their card, their number. And they went and they followed this elderly woman home to her isolated house in the countryside where she lived alone, okay? And what did they do while there, okay? They entered her house. Through what she said was one of the men was extremely charming, while the other man was a bit more had her a bit more worried, and it was a bit more threatening in towards her. So the 2 brothers, it says here, I'm just reading an article. The article is in the msn.com, so that was just what came up here on a quick search for it, because Judge Sean O'Donovan resided over this case, guys. So this is the main reason I'm bringing this up, just to compare the outcomes of cases, okay? So there's a victim here in this, which is an elderly lady, an elderly lady at the age of 72 years of age, okay? Followed home by 2 brothers. So They followed her home before persuading her to part with thousands of euros for power tools, chainsaws and generators. A Cork Circuit court heard the 72-year-old woman was very worried when Thomas and Patrick O'Driscoll arrived at her home, but her instincts told her not to show fear, as the men persuaded her to write 6 cheques totaling almost €25,000. The men even had her tear up some of the cheques she had written and to start again because they did not want them crossed. So I'm not too sure what that means. Crossed, is that a technique you put on a check to kind of indicate to the bank that this isn't is a check that was signed under duress. So Thomas O'Driscoll, aged 39, of Boherbue, Rathkeil, County Limerick, and Patrick O'Driscoll, 38, of Wolf Burgess East, Rathkeil, County Limerick, appeared in court yesterday, having previously pleaded guilty to a charge of description, so what was described there, at Goleen, County Cork in November 2018. So this is almost 2 years ago, guys. Almost 2 years ago, November 2018. These guys have been walking out free since then. Do you know why they're walking free? Because they paid €8,000 bail. Where did they get that money for bail? They probably robbed that off some other 72-year-old lady, or probably even an older fucking lady. And yet the scumbag Judge Sean O'Donovan accepted these absolute vile, rotten scumbags' bail money. He should not have accepted these people's bail money. They are a risk to people in society. What they done to this woman is a bang out of order. She is a victim of their crime. How in the name of God does this judge think this woman feels knowing that these 2 men were allowed walk out of jail because, or walk out of the court free until their court case gets heard again, which was almost 2 fucking years later, because they can hand over €8,000. Absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. So these scumbags were allowed to walk around for free, and this other guy that I talked about there a few minutes ago, the Lithuanian man with €178,000 worth of cannabis, he was refused bail, and he got 4 years, okay? And his case, he got caught in 2019. He wasn't left out at all. He wasn't left walk amongst us at all, even though he posed no real threat to anybody. Cannabis won't kill you, guys. These fucking scumbag brothers just might, if you were to maybe question them in the wrong way. Who knows how that could have went if that old lady put up any bit of resistance to him, you know. Absolutely sickening to be reading this morning. It really was. But Judge Sean O'Donovan said, jailing the brothers, Judge Sean O'Donovan said it was phenomenally serious offence, and they had followed an elderly and vulnerable woman home to a remote location. He said the men were overbearing and didn't give the woman time to breathe, much less to think. The court heard the men travelled to West Cork on November 20th, 2018, and stayed the night. The following day, they engaged the victim in conversation at a jewellery shop in Skibbereen. Patrick O'Driscoll produced a machinery brochure, charmed the lady into giving him her phone number. He told her he would be in Goleen later in the day. At 3:30, she phoned O'Driscoll and said there was no need to call. However, he told her he was reversing his van down her drive. Even though she said don't call. So at that point, like he was invading this woman. She had told him not to call. She'd done it. Like, that's wrong. The woman was perplexed as her house was difficult to find. There you go. Like, of course, she was extremely worried at this point that these guys were even reversing down the drive. It obviously indicated straight away that they followed her to her. She's clearly not an idiot. And her house is difficult to find, and it's 40 kilometres from Skibbereen. So if you don't know Skibbereen, 40 kilometres from there, it's going to land you in a place called Ballygo Backwards, middle of nowhere. Because it is a very rural place. Absolutely beautiful part of the country, don't get me wrong, but it's in the middle of nowhere. She was introduced to a second man called George, not his real name. She was told the pair that she was moving out at the end of the month and didn't want the machinery or tools. The pair began to charm the pensioner with talk of Our Lady of Lourdes. Rich. Over the course of 30 minutes, they became quite pushy. George, who Gardaí now know as Thomas O'Driscoll, began filling a room in her home with machinery and tools while Patrick O'Driscoll continued a conversation with the woman about the Lord and Jesus and all of, his righteousness and shit. Scumbag he is. The woman started to feel vulnerable as Patrick O'Driscoll became more aggressive. The men told her to write cheques, which she made out for almost €25,000. The woman later told Gardaí she was bewildered and couldn't believe what had happened. On November 23rd, she contacted AIB Skibbereen. 2 of the cheques had already been cashed to the sum of €6,500, so they got €6,500 out of her. The further cheques were cancelled by the bank and they didn't get the rest of the 25 grand. The men made no admission to the Gardaí when they were initially arrested in January, so they weren't arrested until January. It happened in November, they didn't get caught up with until January, and they didn't even admit to it when they were first caught. Keep that in mind. In a victim impact statement, the woman then said she was very worried when the men arrived at her home, but her instincts told her not to chauffeur as the men persuaded her to write the cheques. She told the court she was going through a lot of trauma at the time and wasn't in the proper frame of mind to deal with the men. She added she was frightened and embarrassed by the incident. The judge said the men's behaviour had been a total invasion of privacy. There now. Yeah. And yeah, Judge Sean O'Donovan in the sentencing gave the men, guess what, guys, right? The maximum here is the maximum here is 5 years. And guess what these guys got? Have a guess what these guys got? 2 years. 2 years is all these guys got. That's absolutely sickening. It pisses me off. Like words can't put into, it's just too colourful, the description I would like to use for Judge Sean O'Donovan right now reading this. He gave 4 years to a man who got caught with €178,000 worth of cannabis, but men who almost stole up to 25,000 from an elder 72-year-old lady after following her home, invading her home. He gave them 2 years. And all the while, they were free for the last 2 years. They were out walking. Who knows what crimes these guys engaged in while they were out on bail? Really, are we to believe that these guys who love our lady and fooled an old lady into giving them nearly €25,000 of our cash and cheques, hard-earned money? Absolutely sickening. Judge Sean O'Donovan, you are a scumbag. Absolute scumbag, pal. It breaks my heart to have to read that news, G. It really does. But like I have to share that in comparison. Like, this is what the judge does. 4 years from a man with cannabis, and he has no victims of his crime except the very, very few people who develop an addiction to cannabis. But are they really his victims? Or is that a victim of a society where people aren't educated properly as to how to use cannabis effectively, where kids are exposed to it at an ever-growing younger age because criminals are free to sell it to them, and no matter what the age, because the criminals, they're boosted up. If we were to legalise and regulate the sale of the drugs, the criminals, it wouldn't be worth their while selling them at all. It really wouldn't, especially cannabis. Why would I buy cannabis off of some scumbag drug dealer on a corner when I could go and get it from a store? I just wouldn't. So that means anybody 18 and older, if we were to use that as the age to allow access, wouldn't be buying from these scumbags, meaning they're going to be crippled. We cripple them. This is the Achilles heel of these criminals, these drug gangs. And to not use it, it's so stupid of us in our society. It really is. Other news then, guys. Sorry for going off on that one, but I had to share those things there. Other news there. Gardaí sees €105,000 worth of suspected cannabis herb in Cork City. So 2 men have been arrested as Gardaí sees €105,000 worth of suspected cannabis herb in Cork City on Monday. Gardaí from Cork City Divisional Drugs Unit, assisted by uniform and detected Gardaí. So 3 units of our Gardaí here now involved in this. A lot of manpower. They executed 2 search warrants resulting in the seizure of the suspected drugs. A statement revealed that at 7 p.m. Gardaí executed a search warrant at a house on Sundayswell Road. During the course of this search, Gardaí seized €85,000 worth of suspected cannabis herb. Two men aged in their 30s were arrested at the scene and were brought to Granabraher Garda Station. They're currently detained under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Act 1996. A second search warrant was later executed at a house on Blarney Street, resulting in the seizure of €20,000 worth of suspected cannabis herb. No further arrests were made following this search. Gardaí said that all the suspected drugs will now be sent to the Forensic Science Ireland for analysis. Forensic Science Ireland is a drain on the state of Ireland, on the Irish state. It is a drain on the revenue that we take from our taxes. As we say, Oregon have decriminalised all drugs, and now they won't be sending drugs for analysis because they're not going to be criminalising people for it. Hopefully they clean up the supply, or bring in heroin-assisted therapies and other things like that. But again, Forensic Science Ireland, that's money, that's a cost to the taxpayer, money wasted by us every time we send drugs to them. Remember the pots I brought into the Bridewell Garda Station with my cannabis seeds in them, or my hemp seeds? Yeah, they were sent for analysis. I still haven't heard back on that case, and I don't think I will either. But they said that they're sending them for analysis. Again, a cost to our taxpayers. And keep in mind, we've people out there homeless on the streets. We've underfunded hospitals. We've so many other issues in our society that need addressing. And here we are just stupidly throwing millions at this stupid war on drugs. Absolutely stupid. So again, €105,000 worth of cannabis. Big blow there to the cannabis community. That's just over 5 kilos of cannabis now that are being taken out of circulation. But undoubtedly, there's going to be much more out there to take its place. If anything, all this is going to do is push the impression that the drug supply is being, hit hard, and it's going to allow drug dealers, the bad ones anyway, to knock up their prices, because that's what happens when these seizures start taking place. In this kind of a number too, like it's quite a number of raids and seizures here that I'm reporting on today, and that happened over the last few days, and all that's going to do is give argument to the dealers out there to put up their prices, because they're going to say that the product is scarce now. So well done to the Gardaí, well done for wasting our taxpayers' money, well done to the politicians who keep these policies in place that keep putting the lives of our Gardaí needlessly at risk. Like what if one of these young lads in their 30s was stupid enough to have a gun in him and shot one of the cops coming into the house, These things can start happening. These are the risks our Gardaí take when they're out there fighting this war on drugs. Have a think about that, guards, Like, I don't want to be your enemy. I'm not your enemy. I'm trying to change the direction our society is taking. I believe the war on drugs, the Misuse of Drugs Act, it is incredibly harmful to the citizens of the state, to our communities. So much harm done by it, and that's what I'm trying to address, guys. I hope you don't see me as your enemy, and I hope you respect what I do and what I'm saying, and don't take any offense if I use the pig word or anything like that. It's just, sometimes we act on emotions, and logic kind of takes a backseat for a few seconds, and I apologize for that when that happens. I really do. But yeah, come on, can you blame me really? Like, look at this shit. Like, look, more of it. 4 arrested as cannabis worth €1 million seized. Like, guys, think of the amount of money we can be making in tax, and this €1 million, like 23% or 21% tax on that. That's €210. €210,000 that we could be using there. That could be helping homelessness, that could be helping our hospitals, that could be helping so much. But no, how much have we wasted even in just this one operation now, where 4 men have been arrested after a seizure of €1 million worth of cannabis in Kildare. 2 vehicles were intercepted and searched in Kildare area by Gardaí at 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday. During the search, 10 kilograms of cannabis with an estimated street value of €200,000 was seized. A further search was carried out at a premises in Kildare area where a sophisticated cannabis cultivation operation was located. The premises was found to contain over 1,000 mature cannabis plants with an estimated street value of €800,000, only because of prohibition. 4 males aged in their 50s, 30s, 20s, and teens were arrested and are currently detained under Section 2 of the Criminal Justice Drug Trafficking Act of 1996 at Naas and Newbridge Garda Station. Both searches took place as part of an ongoing investigation targeting organised criminal activity. So again here, a big operation carried out by Gardaí in an ongoing investigation targeting organised crime. Guys, this time is being taken away from other crimes where the Gardaí could be putting their investigation efforts to. Crimes such as rape, of robbery, but there's not... Those aren't open and closed cases. If a person rapes you, if a person does something like that to you, it's a lot more complicated in order to close that case, in order to get the conviction. Whereas if you catch a person with drugs, like, geez, it's a low-hanging fruit. It's a gift to the authorities who want to put a notch in their belt and climb the career ladder. So you've a lot of good Gardaí who are going to have their time diverted because they want to be career men and they want to climb the career ladder. And they're going to waste so much of their time chasing these guys, these criminals who were only created because of prohibition, who would not even exist if prohibition didn't exist. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then in the 4 people who were arrested, one of them is in their teens. So he could be 19, 18, 17, 16, who knows, age in his teens. I would imagine if he was 17, 18, they might have said late teens. But who's to know? I can't speculate really what the age of that person was, but like... It's just sickening that these people are getting caught up with this. I don't know like who these guys are or what this operation is. For all I know, this could be some sort of a family-run operation. People who just had enough and they just said, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to set up a cannabis grow. And they started growing 1,000 plants and had €200,000 worth of cannabis. I really don't know. I don't want to be making judgments of people because... There's bad drug dealers out there and there's good drug dealers out there. There's people who operate these kind of operations and they're good people, and there's people who operate these operations and they're not so good people. So I don't want to be passing judgments on anyone as such just yet. There's no real links here or no claims being made here that they're connected to any of the other criminal families out there that are killing people on their street, getting caught up in all this gun crime and all of this other bullshit. There's nothing kind of indicating here that these people are involved in that, so I'm not going to judge them either. I just take pity that there's a teenager caught up in this. If there was anybody out there involved in this, and if you're out and about and you want to have a conversation with me about this, guys, don't be afraid to reach out if you know these people or any of the people in any of the stories that I mention in any of my 420 news. Don't hesitate to get on to me and to share your story. Like I will be happy to converse with people and to help highlight just the harms that go on with victimizing people like this. Like as I say, I don't know these people, a sophisticated cannabis cultivation operation could have been just a family wanting to grow some cannabis and sell it because who knows, just who knows what the story is. Here's one, guys, for you, and I think I'm nearing the end of my news for today. No, I think I have one more story after this. Or maybe 2, who knows, I can't really remember. One more story, checking my inventory there to my list. So here we go. A judge tells a drug user to wake up and smell the coffee and not the cannabis. Coffee is a drug too. Like this judge is an ignorant clown. Like, does he not realize that if coffee was made illegal, there would probably be an underground market for coffee, and he would be criminalizing a person then just as much, But we don't prohibit coffee because we're a bit sensible and we allow people to use this drug in a controlled and a respectable manner. Now, there is people out there who will also tell you that they have been addicted to coffee and had to give it up as a result. But do we criminalize people for that? No. We allow people to be in control of their own health and take care of themselves and to allow them to make responsible decisions as to how they use drugs, Because coffee is a drug when you look at it at the end of the day. If a cannabis is a drug, then coffee is a drug. So anyhow, a judge has told a man who is probably a flat earther, that's a quote from the judge, that he needs to be reprogrammed. He needs to wake up and smell the coffee and not the cannabis. So this judge says that this man needs to be reprogrammed. Judge, you need to be fucking reprogrammed. You dinosaur with your age-old reefer madness beliefs. You scumbag enforcing this prohibition, a prohibition that's kept medicine away from sick kids, sick patients, terminally ill patients. Judge, wake up and smell the coffee, not the prohibition. You scumbag, your job will still be safe. Your pension will still be safe. Grow a pair of balls, will you, and speak the truth. Come on, you can't be... You're not that truly ignorant to really expect me to believe like that you believe this nonsense, that prohibition is beneficial to our society. Surely you're just acting on the fact that prohibition benefits you and your job. Surely that's the only reason you refuse to say something about it. So the Lisburn Magistrates Court heard that when police stopped a car being driven by Nathaniel McQuaid on July 15th of 2019, or no, that was 2020 actually, July 15th, they found a small quantity of cannabis in it. A solicitor said, for Mr. McQuaid, said he entered a plea guilty to possession of the Class B drug and suggesting his client could be put on probation to address his drug taking. So here we have it again, another person pigeonholed into it like being, oh, I have an addiction, please don't punish me, sir, I will address my drug use, I'm sorry, sir. This is bullshit, it's just complete lies and deceit, trying to, they're just playing the game. The judges asked me to do it, and I told them, the solicitors asked me to do that. Oh, just say you're sorry, just tell them you'll look at it, maybe even rehabilitation and shit like this, said this shit to me. And this is why I can't get a solicitor anymore, because they're scumbags too. Anybody who's not willing to do the right thing and step up for these injustices, sorry, you're scumbags. And that goes for those solicitors too. District Judge Rosie Waters refused revealing that in a probation report, McQuaid was adamant he would not abide by COVID health and safety regulations such as wearing a face mask or having his temperatures taken. And maybe he believes this is because that the government are punishing him this for having cannabis, which is probably it's more beneficial for his health than prohibition is beneficial for his health anyway, that's for sure, because prohibition is doing more harm here now to his mental health than cannabis probably ever would have. So maybe he's led to believe that the government don't have his best interest at heart, and he finds it hard to believe that these measures that the government are telling us to follow are to benefit us. Maybe he's just changed the way in which he receives the messaging from our government because of the way in which our government treat him. Who knows? I don't know. The judge says he is a COVID denier, an anti-masker, and is probably a flat earther. She said, I mean, how stupid can you be? He needs to be reprogrammed. He needs to wake up and smell the coffee, not the cannabis. Imposing a 2-month sentence, she ordered McQuaid to surrender himself to custody today or to sign bail and be released pending an appeal. Absolute scumbaggery. Like to speak down to the man, to say he needs to be reprogrammed. Is that where we're heading to? Are you going to try to reprogram people like myself who have these kind of beliefs, is it? What about mothers like Vera Toomey? Does she need to be reprogrammed too? Or Karen Murray out there fighting for her young boy, Karen Gray fighting for her young boy, Murray. Does she need to be reprogrammed too, Judge? Judge, you need to be reprogrammed. End of. I'm sorry. That's just the nicest way to say it. And absolute scumbaggery by you, Judge. Fair enough. Wearing masks and all of these things, I don't want to muddy the whole thing there, but I can see how this man might be led to disbelieve any messaging by the government because of the other messaging the government has passed out in the past around drugs. Consistency. If they're inconsistent here, possibly inconsistency in other places, leading people to distrust the government, just much like people distrust the Gardaí in certain communities because of the way in which the Gardays have to put themselves in the community and target many people in the community who are respected there. As I say, people who sell cannabis, sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. In some communities, the good ones are respected and the community doesn't want them to be targeted or removed because bad ones might replace them, you know. And this then turns the community against Gardaí. They don't want to engage with Gardaí. They don't want to report stuff. And vigilantism kind of occurs. You know, you have feuds forming and all of the knock-on effects then as a result. So, Judge, you need to be reprogrammed. In other news, guys, cannabis plant seized during a search of a house in Manila, Castlebar. So this is the final piece of your 420 news today, guys. And sorry if it was a bit of a long one. As I said, there was quite a bit to deliver here today to you because of the outcomes of the US elections, but also because of how fucking busy our cops have been. Gardaí seized more than €6,000 worth of cannabis plants and a small quantity of cannabis herb near Castlebar last Friday. The detection was made at around 2 p.m. on Friday afternoon when Gardaí carried out a search of a house in Manila in County Mayo. A man in his mid-50s was arrested in connection with this seizure, and a file is now being prepared for the Director of Public Prosecutions. Again, I will just appeal there that this man in his 50s, you know, if you happen to be watching or if anybody out there happens to know this man, tell him I would love to have a conversation with him about this, because €6,000 worth of cannabis plants, that's absolutely ridiculous. That's less than 8 plants. That's like €800 a plant. Like, how many plants is that? That's less than 6 plants even. Absolutely ridiculous that this is going on. Absolutely ridiculous. I'd love to have a conversation with you. I'd love to help you share your story. I would love to help you fight this as well. Obviously, what you've done, you know, by definition of the law is illegal, but there's got to be a way we can take a stand on this. We just can't. We can't continue to be divided on this, guys. Divided, we're going to continue to be fallen. It's only in united that we're going to really stand up to this law, this oppression, and overcome it. And this is my main mission. In Martin's words, is to unite the community, to try to bring us together and to overcome these oppressive bloody laws. Absolutely ridiculous. More wasted guard these times here. Invading a man in his 50s too. You know, when you're in your 50s, good chance there that, you know, your health, you know, you're at a time of your health where you really need to be taking care of it. And the undue stress of having your house invaded, of having a looming court case, of having your cannabis plants taken away, a really, really enjoyable hobby like growing cannabis plants. It's so enjoyable to do. It's so rewarding to be watching the plants grow, to harvest them, and to enjoy them afterwards, to taste the fruit of your labor. Good Lord, guys, get growing if you're not already. I obviously can't anymore because of my activism and everything, but geez, I did it before, and I can't wait until I can do it again. That's all I'll say. I just really can't wait until I can do it again. Yeah, you know, the cops invaded this guy's house. You know, stress now and pressure. He's going to be waiting quite a while before his court case comes up. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Absolutely despicable. And that's it, guys. That's your 420 news today. Quite a bit there coming from Ireland. Yeah, there's nothing else there underneath that. As I say, quite a bit coming from Ireland, and and I'm quite upset. I've nothing positive really to report from Ireland. Politicians, you know, they only want to talk about coronavirus. Helen McEntee, our Justice Minister, completely absent on the conversation around cannabis legalisation, will not engage at all on it. Frank Fian, the National Drug Strategy Advisor, or whatever kind of guy he is there on that, not willing to engage with people on this, unwilling to have a conversation with myself at all on this. You have Stephen Donnelly, our Health Minister, again ignoring patients who have access to medical cannabis, i.e. Vera Toomey, who want to get clarification on the delivery of the medicine going forward once the restrictions around COVID are lessened and people are free to travel again. Do these patients need to begin their travels again outside of Ireland to get this medicine and then thereby put themselves at risk of contracting COVID while travelling? You know, do they need to do that? Come on, Stephen, pick up the phone, but give them an answer. Allow the pharmacies here to start delivering this medicine to our patients. Allow people like myself to start opening up businesses, the non-profit businesses even, to produce this cannabis in order to provide it for the patients, a good, high-quality, low-cost medicine, and start collecting the data then there to enable wider access to the cannabis and better ways in which we can prescribe medical cannabis too, you know, through compiling effective research there. Come on, Stephen. Come on, all these other, the health minister, like the Frank Feehan and the drug strategy guy and Helen McEntee, or Justice Minister. The three of you really need to sit down and have a conversation there as to what we're going to go do going forward. And my suggestion to you is decriminalise all drugs, decriminalise them, open up heroin-assisted therapies, legalise cannabis for recreational use. Recreational use, I hate that term, but I use it in inverted commas because it's a term that you coin. So open it up for adults age 18 and over. I use age 18 and over because it's the age that we allow access to alcohol. And I think if we were to have cannabis allowed for adults, it needs to be matching the age in which we allow access to alcohol and tobacco. It's set at 18, so why not cannabis? Alcohol and tobacco affect your brain just as much as cannabis do at the age of 18. So why restrict it to people? If we want to make it 21, make alcohol and tobacco 21. I'll support you on that if that's what you want to do. But no, going forward, it needs to be 18. So yeah, guys, get together. Frank Feehan, Helen McEntee, and Stephen Donnelly, you three need to get together. Give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Let's get on over to the comments, guys. Thanks everybody who's managed to hang on by. Feck, it's an hour and 20 minutes into the show today. I tried to keep these things to between 40 and 60 minutes. Sorry for going over. Shit happens. I'm, you know, as I said, I don't want to be here, but I do enjoy the process because I have to do it. It's something I have to do, and I might as well enjoy it while I'm doing it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a mess. So the comments, guys, and people are pointing out there anyway. We have Stephen Michael Piggott pointing out that I was a bit late starting today's 4:20 news, and I apologise. You understand why. Quite a bit more to report on today, and quite a bit more emotions to be dealing with while compiling that report as well today, that you kind of seen throughout the show. So apologies. I will do my best to be at 4:20 on Friday. I really will do my best. Brian McDonald says, fuck the drugs. Yeah, man, fuck the drugs. Fair enough, pal. Fuck the drugs. Francis Collin, why doesn't Ireland get the vote to legalise it? Because we must be the only country living in the Stone Age. Yeah, you're right. We won't get the vote on it because we only get the vote and stuff to change our constitution, and I don't think we'll be changing our constitution to include access to cannabis in it anytime soon. And that's unfortunate. As I say, I'd love to see if we could have a non-binding vote on it, just so that we can sway the direction in which the politicians should be taking on this issue. Without having to change our constitution. I would love to see that vote go forward. So that is a possible way we could do it. But again, you know, the political will isn't there. These politicians don't want to engage with this because they're scumbags. Sorry. Teresa says my sound is great. Nice one for that, Teresa. Appreciate you stopping by. It's always good to see the regulars. And Dave as well is there. Dave Deasy. Nice one again, Dave, for popping in, man. It's always good to see you there at the top of the list, and to see that I'm retaining the regular listeners to the show too. Guys, it's amazing to keep you on by. I sometimes feel like I sound like a broken record repeating some of this stuff. But you know, it is what it is. It has to be done. We have Tina McLeod there giving me an old kind of a sticker saying magical with a unicorn. Thanks, Tina, for that. You know, guys, your comments, all of this stuff, it helps get the message out there a little bit further. The algorithms help promote the page and get it out there to a wider audience. So every comment helps. There's people there. Luke Flynn, thanks for your comments, man. He's giving me 100%, and the Irish flag, so nice support there as well. Ken Green, refusing treatments, definitely scumbags. You know, I can't argue with you there. Um, Also getting love hearts from Luke, getting claps from Noel. No, Dave is saying totally understandable. It's hard there to, to realize what you're referring to because I'm kind of looking at these comments afterwards. I should try to get somebody up here with me to be sharing the comments with me as they're coming in, maybe, or something. We'll see going forward. Little mental notes I'm taking here as to how I can improve the show and get a bit more entertainment into it, a bit more professional production as well. Because look, it's an hour and 20 minutes. Like, thanks guys for being with me. I really do appreciate it, and I want to make it an as pleasurable hour and 20 minutes as possible. So I am looking at ways in which to improve the show as I'm doing the shows. Again, I'm a horrible scientist, guys. I'm not a fucking broadcaster. I'm not a TV host, even though I find myself in the role. John Hickey says, head up, Martin. You're a good soul. Thanks, John. Appreciate your support, bud. Much appreciated. Breda says, well said, Martin. Nola Regan says, never met a good cop. I think I might have met one or two, but they could have been constant to other people too, so it's hard to say. But I agree with you. It is hard to meet a good cop. They are quite a few. At least I'm led to believe that because of the way they behave. Francis also says, you're top Martin lad, you're top lad Martin, all your followers are behind you, well said. And then somebody else is replying here, says depends on how you treat the cop in regards to finding a cop. Ken Green, obviously foreign gangs. Jesus, lots of comments here to get through today, but we're almost to the end of them anyway, guys. More people here say Joseph Miller is saying, good man, Martin. Thanks again for the support, Joseph. Honestly, it really means a lot there, guys. All your messages, all your comments really means a lot. Teresa O'Connell says, just got my license back this morning after a 1-year ban, and that was over a cannabis charge as well, if memory serves correct, Teresa. I can remember you telling me in the past. A scumbaggery there that they took your license off you, and I hope it didn't upset your life too much, and it's great to hear now that you're back on the road and you can get on with your life. Hope you don't get targeted anymore. Stephen Garland says, cannot believe the amount of raids. Is there a reason? I don't know, Stephen, if there is a reason. Maybe it's because of the whole coronavirus. Now the cops aren't as busy with the nightlife, with drunk people and stuff, so now they have a bit more time there to go chasing people for these things. That's maybe one reason, but again, off the top, I really don't know. I haven't have any factual information there to give you an answer on that, but my suspicions are the Gardaí are bored shitless because there's feck all going on now because nightlife has come to an end. Like, people can't go out and socialise anymore at night time. People aren't drunk in the streets, so there's less problems now for them to be dealing with. So they find themselves using their time in other ways, which is targeting innocent in my eyes, cannabis growers. Like your man who got caught with €6,000 worth of cannabis plants. Like, that man is an innocent man in his 50s whose only crime is to try to better his quality of life by allowing himself to provide access to cannabis through growing it. So yeah, thanks for your comment there, Stephen, man. Ken Green says as well, I don't like coffee, bar is tea, Judge. There you go, man. I agree with you. Barry's tea, less caffeine in that, and it has less of an impact on the thyroid as well. I'm somebody who's actually sensitive to coffee. It makes me sweat quite profusely. Just that one cup in the morning can really impact on my thyroid, send me into a bit of an overdrive, and gets me stinking as well. Like, you really smell the coffee through that sweat as well. So it is a drug. There's no denying it's a drug, and it's one that can very well be abused too by people, and it is. But a lot of people don't think they're abusing it because it's not an illegal drug, and we don't even see it as a drug. Ah, sure, it's just a cup of coffee. I'll just get another one there to pick me up, unknowing we're walking into a lifestyle of an addiction to a substance, a drug, coffee. I know many people out there, like, geez, you wouldn't see them without a cup of coffee in their hands, like when they're out and about in the day-to-day. And, you know, they don't think that they're doing drugs. Another great show, says Teresa. Thanks very much, Teresa. It's great to have you along. It seems here that you've stayed until the end. So again, just can't thank you enough, guys. it really makes me feel like, you know, I'm doing something good. You know, so thanks, guys. And Christy then says, "Fair play, Martin. Great to have a voice like yourself speaking up and educating people. Keep it up, bud." I will keep, Christy, as long as these injustices are happening out there. I will certainly keep this up. This is a flame that's not going to be quenched anytime soon, and I tell you that now. And should an election come up too, guys, in Ireland, I will most certainly be running in it as well in Cork North Central for anybody who lives in that area. And if you would like to vote for me, because I guarantee you, guys, I hold the community deep in my heart. I care for people an awful lot. You might hear me express myself an awful lot about drugs because that's the nature of my show. That's the thing that's affected my life the most. It's the experience that I have lived through the most, and it's that which I have to share with you. But I'm not a one trick pony. You know, just because I talk about drugs a lot, you know, it's not the only view I have. But I try not to muddy with the waters around myself. When election time comes up again, I will certainly get into those other issues. But right now, I'm going to keep the cannabis and drug policy just for right now. You know, I do explore other areas, mental health. I do share other things from time to time. But for right now, I'll keep it on that. But just be known to people like that, I will be running an election if it's called in 2021 or 2020. Yeah, I don't think one's been called this year, but quite possibly next year we might see an election being called in Ireland. Government's a joke at the moment. I won't get too much into it because, look, I'm on an hour and 30 now. And yeah, I'm going to have to wrap this up, guys, because I'll just waffle on for another 5 or 10 more minutes because I have a lot to be said on these issues. Guys, thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. You've been listening to me, Martin Condon, delivering your 420 news, brought to you by Martin's World. And guys, just to remind you, if you want to support me and my efforts to set up a cannabis activist hub in Cork City and for the legalisation of cannabis in Ireland, you can do so by signing up to my Patreon. It's Martin's World it's patreon.com/Martin's World. Or if you want to donate through Bitcoins, go to martinsworld.ie. There's a button up there where you can make a donation through Bitcoins. Nice, easy, simple click and follow the instructions there. And as I say, I might throw up a bank account. If I open up a separate one there at some stage, I could throw the details up there for anybody who wants to make a direct transfer to a bank account and avoid the fees there from the middlemen. So that's it, guys. Thanks everybody again for bearing with me, for tuning in and for supporting the show. Your comments, your likes, your follows, subscribes, all of that stuff, guys. It's all greatly appreciated. And I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. I know I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Sorry for getting a bit emotional, but look, that's me. My heart's on my sleeves, guys. I tell the truth. I express it as I feel it, and that's what it is. So stay ablaze, guys. Keep her lit. Peace.